Julie Gunlock of the Independent Women's Forum joining us in studio in the mothership this afternoon. Julie, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
I'm sorry, on the telephone this afternoon.
That's right.
My pleasure. By the way, are the kids back in school yet, Julie? Is this the last week of summer?
No, I have 3 weeks left to go, so I'm white knuckling it at this point. I'm trying to keep sober.
It's I know. The kids are never ready for school to begin, and the parents are always ready, right?
Yeah.
Yay! It's time. We're already starting to see the pictures on social media of the parents having champagne or peach bellinis in the driveway as they put the kids on the bus. I love those pictures.
Well, I'm in the stage of people complaining about when did school supply lists get so long, which I have to agree. My parents sent me to school with like an eraser and a pencil, and now like I have to bring in, boxes and multiple bags to school. So I'm a little baffled by that, but I'm sort of new to this, so maybe it's been that way for a while.
I was just having this conversation over the weekend with another couple down here, and we were talking. Our local school district has not given us our school supply list this year, and we're trying to figure out why. The rumor is that they said it was too expensive to print the school supplies, so they'll tell us what we need on the first day of school, right? But last year, I'm not kidding you. Last year, the school supply list included things like 24 erasers and a ream of copy paper for every student that you had. Like there's no way that
do kids make?
Well, what's happening is that a lot of parents aren't buying this stuff. And so the school district ends up telling parents to buy more so that you end up giving you're buying school supplies for the kids whose parents aren't buying school supplies. How about that?
That makes me
and everybody
little mad.
Gets a trophy.
Time to drink.
Makes me a little mad too. Listen, so I want to talk about the war on onions. I want to talk about the culture of alarmism, but I did just see this story. Emily Eakins writing this at Reason Magazine. The latest Reason Roop poll finds that when it comes to kids and their trophies, 57% of Americans think that only the winning players should receive them. Another 40% say all kids on a sports team should receive a trophy for their participation. 40%.
Wow.
Yep. Are you shocked that the number is that high? Did you expect it to be higher?
Yeah, that seems. I'm shocked at. I wish it wasn't so high. Yeah. Do we disagree on this?
Emily says, no. I'm with you. I'm with you. If you want to acknowledge a kid's participation, there are a lot of ways to do it besides a trophy. Have a team dinner, get a team photograph. But to say everybody gets a trophy just for playing.
Oh yeah.
I'm not on board with that.
Yeah. It used to be
this is really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say among those who think that all kids should get a trophy, 49% have an unfavorable view of capitalism. 50% thinks a strong government better solves problems than the free market, and 54% favor larger government providing more services. So there does appear to be a correlation as well, Julie, between the trophies for everyone and big government, take care of us.
I want a trophy. I want a trophy for, let's see, getting my kids up in the morning, getting them dressed. Hey, how about you guys send me a trophy for being on the show today?
No.
Something.
But you will get to go to the team dinner at the end of the
thank
year.
You.
And
get a slice of pizza.
You bet. You bet. We may even give out awards this year, so there is perhaps a potential trophy for you. I think you might be up in the categories of best nanny state guest. We can do this. We can come up with a list that every guest gets a trophy for a different reason.
Okay, good. I feel better now.
Well, that's what we're here for. All right. So what's going on with? I saw this headline earlier today, and I'm
Well,
the world seems to be falling apart around us, and yet we're worried about onions. We're now going after onions. We haven't regulated onions enough. We need to be protected from the onions.
oh yeah, this is a great story about how the FDA is apparently going to be going. It's a lot like, so the FDA is going to go after onion farmers because I guess they've run out of other farmers. They're now targeting specific farmers, specific crops. And this is a lot like an issue we talked about on the show a couple of months ago about cheese boards, how cheese is aged on wooden boards, and the FDA started freaking out about that because are the boards clean enough, right? Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do.
Yes. So this is the same thing where the FDA is apparently telling these onion farmers that they have to switch from from wooden crates to plastic crates. Because of some sort of, I don't know, E. coli risk, even though studies show that these wooden crates are not really a risk for E. coli. One economist looked at this, and it could cost up to $200 million. And not only that, it will also require a lot of these farmers to sort of change the layout of some of their buildings because the crates won't fit in there. So, this is, again, one of these cases of the FDA sort of making up risks. I mean, there isn't even a risk that's been established, and they've decided, well, it doesn't really matter that there isn't a risk that's been established to food safety. They're going to go after these farmers anyway. So get more costs put on farmers, which will then eventually be passed on to consumers. So you can kiss your French onion soup goodbye this winter.
I don't want to kiss my French onion soup goodbye this winter. I want to consume my French onion soup, and as you say, this is there's no safety benefit. There's a huge cost to farmers. There's a potential cost to consumers. Well, I mean, there's more than a potential cost. There's a real cost to consumers from the pass along from the farmers. But there's also, as you say, the chance that we'll have fewer onions here. Here's the thing: Julie, who puts a stop to this? Who's the body? Is it do we need to write our Congress critters and tell them hands off our onions? Do we need to write the FDA?
Yeah, it's a good question, and unfortunately, I'm not sure I have an answer anymore. I am so baffled by some of the things the FDA is doing. They've announced that they're going to go after trans fats, even though food companies are already voluntarily taking trans fats out. They're going after salt. They're saying they're going to regulate the amount of salt that food manufacturers put into packaged food products, even though the two latest studies to come out say it's actually a low-salt diet that is more dangerous than some of these high-salt diets. It's really baffling to me what the FDA is doing, and they don't seem to be able to be reined in right now.
They don't. And as you say, like we just saw this study last week. I think it was that salt is not nearly as bad for you as
right.
What we've been led to believe now, right? So once again, the science has switched. And salt was awful, and now salt maybe not so awful. Now it should be noted as well that there are plenty of doctors who say no, salt is still awful for you. Don't listen to this other doctor and this other study.
And what I always say in response to that is, look, what's clear is not that salt is good or bad. What's clear is that the science is still out on salt. And so there's still a lot of studying that needs to happen. There's still a lot of research that needs to happen. And yet the FDA, goes along like science doesn't matter, like evidence-based medical decisions don't matter, and like regulations shouldn't be based on evidence. And so that's what's really disturbing to a lot of people. And are we going to have, one of these things where the federal government pursues a policy, as in the federal government telling people, the entire American population for 30 years to avoid red meat and trans fat and saturated fat, and now recently they're like, oops, we were wrong. So we're going to continue to see this behavior from the federal government.
It's interesting because there's been, in the talk of one of the I guess other stories along with the death of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, has been the debate over the militarization of police.
Sure.
And the FDA has its own SWAT team, Julie. I wonder if honestly, like if that isn't one of the ways in which we educate Americans on, look, you think the FDA is out there stopping you or stopping, meat packers from picking up, raw meat that's dropped on the floor and putting it on your plate. But they do a lot more than this. I mean, it seems to me that maybe one of the biggest things that we have to do, and it goes far beyond the FDA, but we have to educate Americans about what our government is doing. We have so many Americans who are so blissfully ignorant, perhaps, of what and everything that the government is involved in, that a lot of this, I think, is really just an education campaign.
No, I agree. And I mean, you see these stories every once in a while pop up of, a SWAT team charging in on an Amish farmer. I mean, God, so absurd. I can't even believe it happened. And then, recently a cheesemaker was required to, dump both milk and cheese. I think he was a farmer, dairy farmer, milk and cheese, millions of gallons of this stuff down the drain. And again, and nothing was proven. His milk was not proven to be contaminated. You're seeing signs of this stuff come up, and it really is up to, I think, alternative media to report it because, so often agencies like the FDA are promoted to the public as, it's for the children, it's for our safety. And look, I do agree that they do some good work. I don't want to demonize this, every member of that agency, but I do think that they're a little bit out of control. There has been a bill that passed Congress a couple of years ago that added more food inspectors, and I think that's why we're seeing this kind of behavior. I think they're starting to look for things, to like to creatively come up with things to inspect or to regulate. Because they're simply bored.
Or they have to justify their existence here. I mean, look,
Exactly.
if you're a health inspector and you're out there inspecting and everything's on the up and up and all right, you're good to go, and you keep telling people that, then maybe your supervisor is going to say, "Geez, Julie, you go
Right.
out there, you write up a report, everything's fine. Well, why do we need you then?" So nothing. Things cannot be fine. If it's your job to make things better, then things cannot already be good, right?
Well, and exactly. And, we need to remember what isn't pointed out to people is we have the safest food supply in the world and, relatively few foodborne illnesses out there. And so, it's not as though we're living, in some, disgusting, food system where we can't get clean food and no one's looking over the shop. There's, and the other thing is it's none of these companies, profit when they intentionally poison people. I mean, we can't forget there's also self-regulation, quite a lot of it, frankly, very, very rigorous safety standards. And I know most people go, oh, gosh, you can't trust business. Well, actually, businesses are in to make money, and they certainly are not going to make money if they've poisoned, these recalls and outbreaks are terrifying for food companies. They are incredibly bad for business, and they really last long. There's sort of the stink of these contaminations that stays around for a lot longer, even after everything is sort of resolved. These companies have a really hard time coming back from these kinds of sort of scandals, if you will.
They do. You're right. And again, as you say, this is not about. This is not an anarchist position of, just get rid of all the government. But the argument that there's a lot of overreach here, and there's a lot of things that government is doing that we're perfectly capable of doing for ourselves, I think is one that frankly I think it's going to be. I think that is a statement and a position that more and more Americans actually are feeling comfortable stating. Unfortunately, Julie, we are almost out of time for this segment. It always goes by so quickly, but thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and hopefully we'll get to see you again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.